Hello and welcome to The World This Week. I'm Jonathan Steele. Last Saturday's general election in Pakistan was a historic moment for the country. It was the first time a democratically elected government ceded power to a new one. In the first part of today's programme, we'll be discussing what a new government run by Nawaz Sharif, the leader of the Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz, means for Pakistan, its important neighbour Afghanistan, and relations with the United States. And in part two, we'll be asking why Africa is failing to see the benefits of its natural riches. But first, the PML-N has secured at least 124 out of 342 seats in the Pakistani parliament. The final votes are still being counted. The incumbent Pakistan People's Party did badly among voters, securing only 31 seats, while Imran Khan's PTI proved popular with young people and won 27 seats. But with the support of independent candidates, the PML-N has a majority. They won the public vote on a campaign courting anti-Americanism and a radically different security policy. Charlotte Hawkins has more.
Nawaz Sharif is set to become Pakistan's Prime Minister for the third time, following his party's easy win in the election last weekend. The Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz is on the verge of securing a majority in Pakistan's parliament. Sharif's victory comes after most other parties had their campaigns hampered by the Pakistani Taliban, which killed 130 people during the election period. The PML-N was not targeted. Before the election, Sharif failed to condemn the Taliban for the attacks. He also advocated peace talks with the Taliban without preconditions and said he wouldn't continue cooperation with the US war on terror. This has led some to fear a Pakistani government which is soft on militants. But others believe now the PML-N is in power, Sharif's rhetoric will remain just that. He appears to be already taking a more nuanced approach.
अमेरिका समेत तमाम मुल्कों के साथ अच्छे ताल्लुकात चाहते हैं और अपने मसाइल का भी हल चाहते हैं और मैं समझता हूँ कि जो पाकिस्तान के अंदर हमें मसाइल जिनका हमें सामना करना पड़ रहा है हम उनको खुश उसलूबी के साथ बातचीत के ज़रिए के साथ और जो है वो बुर्दबारी के साथ हम उनको हल करें.
So while former ruling party, the PPP, accuses Sharif of being sympathetic to extremism, Imran Khan's PTI says Sharif is not critical enough of US drone strikes. For the Pakistani people, the issues that really mattered in this election were electricity shortages and lack of education. But as leader of one of the world's most unstable countries, the rest of the world will be closely watching Sharif's movements on the international stage. Charlotte Hawkins, Islam Channel.
Well, joining me in the studio to discuss the future of Pakistan under the PML-N are Chaudhry Ansar Mahmood, President of the PML-N's legal wing, and Atif Ali Shah, Information Secretary of the London branch of the rival party, the PTI. Thank you for coming. And on the phone, I'm pleased to welcome Irfan Husain, columnist for the Pakistani newspaper Dawn, and Yunas, who's Professor of South Asian Studies at the University of Bradford. Well, let me come to you, Chaudhry, first of all. We heard how your leader was much softer on the issue of the Taliban violence, and indeed the Taliban seemed not to attack your party candidates or headquarters at all. Why are they so soft on you?
Thank you very much, Jonathan, to give me a chance to express my views on this occasion. First of all, I'll say that we are very happy and we congratulate all nation, Pakistani nation, who they are overseas, lives in overseas and also in Pakistan, to give us good mandate to form the government in future. To respond to your question, we from the start and in our party manifesto, we strongly believe on the talks, not the fight. And we have been given the clear message to the Taliban that if we form the government, we will negotiate with them and we will talks with them, and not only in the province of Punjab, but as a whole in Pakistan. And now we are in position to form the governments. Let's see to the after the formation of the government, what Mr. Nawaz Sharif will take the step.
But what can you offer the Pakistani Taliban? What's the purpose of the talks? What do you see as the end result?
Well, obviously, we are not going to offer them anything. We will talks with them, and we will have that they should believe on the peace. And this is not the way to fight with the Pakistani people, not to terrorism. If they want to bring some change in the view of the Islamic change, then there's so many other ways to bring the change, not the terrorism.
Well, let me come to you, Atif Ali Shah. I mean, a lot of the media said in advance of the election, and I think Imran Khan was giving the impression that he could even win this thing. He's in fact only come third. What went wrong?
Well, in terms of, there's a general narrative coming from our side. Definitely there was some kind of engineering did take place in Pakistan. Unfortunately, a country like Pakistan, you don't see these kind of surprises too often. And this was the first election that was best in a sense that there was a youth first time, 60% is a turnover, and people really believed in the power of vote. That you, in fact, I won't be exaggerating if I say people have chosen ballot over bullet. But unfortunately, I think in terms of our party, there was some significant shortcomings in terms of operational level in PTI as well. But I think overall we did much better than what we expected. As Imran Khan has said, that it's time to move forward and we need to tackle the national issues now. Though we are still contesting that there are 25 seats that need to be rechecked, and there's ample evidence that during the counting there was many mishap happened, and the elections were influenced through media, through other means. Especially Karachi is a big issue still for other parties.
I'd like to bring in Professor Samad before we talk about the actual issues on the result. Professor Samad, you can hear us, I hope. Let me ask you, were you surprised by the size of Nawaz Sharif's victory and the relatively poor performance, given the media hype in advance, of Imran Khan?
In one way, I think the surprise was that there was a feeling before the election that we might be heading for a parliament. I think the surprise is that Muslim League won decisively, and I think that was. I wasn't of the view that PTI could actually make that kind of inroads electorally. I think that one of the reasons why I would say that is because they are a party which is limited to the urban educated classes, and most Pakistanis don't fall in that category.
What about now on the issues of the Pakistani Taliban and the government? Do you think that Nawaz Sharif will be able to make a peace arrangement or deal with the Taliban, or is this just good intentions that won't achieve anything?
Well, I think he has a couple of things in his favor. One is that you would say ideologically he's more conservative and therefore more sympathetic to some of the things that the Taliban are asking for. I think the other thing is that being a party which is centered in the Punjab, he has the ability to rein in the military and make the military do what he wants. So I think those two things play in his favor. I think the broader thing is that we are in a period where NATO and the United States are withdrawing from Afghanistan, and he can play his cards astutely. He can talk about settlement and making and facilitating withdrawal with settlement with the Taliban, not only in Pakistan, but with the Taliban with the Karzai government. There can be a big deal, can be actually sorted out where all sides could actually benefit from this. And so I think, there is a kind of context which is now significantly different, which actually is in his favor.
And what about the issue, really sort of tough issue of the drone strikes and the US military activity inside Pakistan? Will he be able to rein in the United States on that?
I think that that Nawaz Sharif is going to be pragmatic about this. The point is that the United States will, I would say, will continue with their policies. But, you know, as I was saying, that because they're also keen on getting withdrawal, what you call, sorted out, so Nawaz Sharif can use that as an argument, saying, well, if you play ball with us, we can help you in this area as well. And so in that sense, what you call, there is a way around this. But I think he will be pragmatic. He can't be confrontational on this. He can't take unilateral action and say, we're going to shoot down drone strikes, because that's just inviting a conflict with NATO Air Force and the Pakistan Air Force, which in the long run he won't be able to win.
Well, thank you very much for that. I'd like to put the same point now to Chaudhry. Do you think he can really exert some pressure on the United States, or do a deal with them that if we help you on your withdrawal, you can give us something on the whole issue of peace in with Afghanistan?
Yeah, I think it's definitely he will hold talks with the UNO and USA to have some genuine and some sort of talks with them to resolve this issue, which is very serious since last 7-8 years, and especially in that area of the KPK area, in which we have very unsecure over border lines, and which we want to control all those areas like North Waziristan and tribes areas in KPK, and also that is extended into the Balochistan, and also they have now the influence in Karachi, which is our business hub, and we are getting the more than 60% of our economies we depend to the Karachi. So that is a very alarming situation for this government, and this is on very top priority to resolve this issue, and we will talk with the UNO and also the United States to resolve this issue.
Atif, what about Imran Khan? I mean, he is now in the opposition. I mean, but on the other hand, on the issue of the Pakistani-Taliban and talking to them and trying to find a deal, isn't that similar to his line too? So wouldn't he support Nawaz on that?
I think that everybody start putting this idea that let's talk to Taliban. The question is who controls the narrative? There will be a federal government sitting in Islamabad who's dictated by the army chief who's getting retired in October, and how the new chief comes in and what policies he pursues. And Nawaz Sharif is not the kind of a person who will dictate the narrative of the new security policy.
Why not? What makes you think that?
I think based on his past experience, he is in no mood to take another head-on collision with the army. The Pakistan army defines Pakistan's international narrative dealing with the foreign policy. KPK will be in the frontline province of Pakistan, which people are expecting that Imran Khan will bring in the peace. How Nawaz Sharif will sit in the federal will take on these provisional governments, and how do he really understand what the people want? It really boils down to a point where Taliban wants something intangible. They want something in return, and they won't go for Sharia-based courts.
Okay, hold on. This is totally disinformation. My friend, he should know that these terrorism and the Taliban, they just came in on blue after the 9/11. Before that, before that, the Nawaz Sharif government was toppled. His government was finished in 1999. So how he can say that the Nawaz Sharif don't have that experience? This is after that. This is the first time the Nawaz Sharif is making and forming his government. So without seeing anything, this is very bad to come to the media and to give the disinformation to the people, especially in international media.
I'd like to turn to Irfan Husain, who is a columnist for the newspaper Dawn. You've heard the argument of our two friends in the studio about Nawaz Sharif, whether he'll be tough on the military or whether he'll be soft because they once overthrew him 12 or 14 years ago. What is your sort of view as an independent observer?
Well, I think he will certainly try and carve out some space vis-a-vis the military. The last government, as you know, caved in on virtually every issue. I think Nawaz Sharif, with his bigger mandate, will certainly try to impose his will on the army, as I think any political government should do. So I wish him luck in that. I may be against various policies that he espoused earlier, but if he, in the civil military context, I think he should certainly try and direct the path the army should follow, rather than let them lead, especially in foreign affairs, which they...
Well, let's stick to that point and switch to the Afghan situation a little bit. What do you think is the interest, should be the interest of Pakistan now in Afghanistan? Should they be pushing for some kind of settlement in Afghanistan, some kind of peace talks, some kind of perhaps government of national unity in Kabul in which the Taliban take part? Or should they continue with the present policy, which seems to be to try and defeat the Taliban militarily? And Pakistan, of course, has been giving some aid. The ISI has been giving aid to the Taliban.
I think Pakistan should support any peace deal in Afghanistan. It should facilitate the departure of NATO forces from there and should support the Afghan government in arriving at a peace deal with the Taliban. Failing which, then of course the military option was always there. But I think initially the thrust should be on arriving at a negotiated settlement.
Well, Chaudhry, let me come back to you. Does Pakistan have influence on the Afghan Taliban? Can they say to them, you need to negotiate a peace deal with Karzai, or if they say that, will then just be ignored? I mean, what influence do they actually have on the Afghan Taliban, who we know are based in Pakistan?
You know, the past government, they have their own policies, and that policy was actually the extended policy of the Pervez Musharraf, and they followed the same policy. But we will make our own policy and a different policy, and in which we will negotiate with the Hamid Karzai to make the limits for these Talibans. And
what do you mean to make the limits?
Limits because they at the moment they in Afghanistan and in all border area in Balochistan and the KPK, they have all been almost occupied by the Taliban, and we have, that is the major plan, that we will negotiate with them, and and with the talks we will stop them to interfere in those areas, and we are expecting the strong talks with them and to stop all these activities in that area. And we also stress to the Afghani government to control these Talibans who are making so much interference in Pakistan.
Well, how do you think your party feels about that? Do they agree with that?
I think there's nothing going to change. It's the same continuation of the policies, and this is what the election was all about. The thing is, it's not about 2014 and withdrawal of USA. It's about tackling the secure law and order situation within Pakistan. And this is we are more concerned than what is happening in Afghanistan. Afghanistan will be sorted out sooner or later. The international forces are there, international stakeholders are there. They are keen to get some kind of solution in there. But problem is, how are we going to give a relief to the people inside Pakistan? Unless you have something clear plan when you talk about talks. This is a sheer confusion revolves around talks. Is it something, a narrative will be dictated by provisional government who ready to give a stake to Taliban to some extent by establishing Islamic Sharia courts? At some point we have to come on this point. Or is there federal government who will identify them as an enemy of the state, and anything gonna be will be declared war on Pakistan, and drones will see more proportion of drone attack than what we have seen in People's Party's tenure. I think the challenge the federal government now faces is take every party on board, come up with a very tactful, very targeted type of policy that is shared by on military level, on civil level, on international level, what the whole board game is. Unless what's happening for the last 8 years is every stakeholder, every player in the game has its own game plan. And when Americans are going towards their peace plan, then Pakistanis are going 100-degree opposite. Real stakeholders are people of Afghanistan. Who going to give them relief? Taliban going to give them relief? We have to come to honor terms, give them install a government or help them facilitate a government that's going to give a relief to the people of Afghanistan. If people of Afghanistan choose, then no, they will go to a constitutional government. It's their right to be to have a government that's going to give them a relief. It's not the game of Pakistan that decides what's going to be inside.
No, but the Pakistanis have enormous power because the Afghan Taliban used your country as a safe haven.
There is no such thing as they got a extended. They've got a power or hold in Afghanistan. We got 10 million Pashtuns living on our borders. They never accepted direct line. They have extended families across the border. Yeah, Britain have this in his mind. This is a Afghanistan direct line, but it does not exist on the ground. If these Pashtuns are going and protecting their families, and these Pashtuns living on Afghanistan, they're coming and protecting their brothers on this border. To them, this is a foreign occupying forces sitting in America, and for Pashtun in Afghanistan, there's a puppet government sitting in Pakistan, killing their families. It's not about Pakistan influence, it's about the people's war. It's the Pashtun tribes, they are militant tribes, they go and they fight.
Well, this sounds pretty hopeless. What is your view?
I'm not agree. I fully disagree with my friend, because the reason being, the Afghanistan Taliban, they cannot do anything, or the Afghan government, they cannot do anything, and even the NATO forces, they cannot have the secure exit without the cooperation of Pakistan. That is a fact. We should accept this fact, that without Pakistani cooperation, they can't do anything, and that is the reason everybody has the focus on Pakistani government, that what the new government will make
clear about what its policy is.
Yes,
because cooperate with them doing what?
Yes, because now it's just we have clear from the election, and the oath will be taken place in after 2 weeks. Once Mian Nawaz Sharif will take the oath, when he will become the Prime Minister of Pakistan, this is our first priority, to make the clear announcement and policy and strategy how we have to tackle with these terrorism and the Taliban, and with the Afghanistan, what sort of we should have the policy. We cannot make the exemption on the basis of the past governments. We have our own manifesto. Hold on. Because without forming a government, how we can announce our policy, that what we are going to do? Once we will make the government, then we will tell to the nation, to the international people, that we are going to do.
Let me come to Irfan Husain and actually give you the final word, because we've almost run out of time. Do you see a big change now coming in Pakistani policy on both the Pakistani Taliban and the Afghan Taliban in practice, or do you think it is we're hearing a little bit talk about change, but nothing will actually change? What's your view?
Thanks very much for coming to me. But I make a clear distinction about how we deal with Pakistani Taliban and the Afghan Taliban. The Pakistani Taliban are criminals who have killed about 30,000 Pakistanis, and they should be treated like criminals and not legitimized by offering them negotiation and so forth. Because we've tried that earlier. The army has come to a number of deals with them. Each time they've broken the deal, and they've used these truces just to further their own tactical ends. So I think unless you can talk to them from a position of strength, it's pretty hopeless. Where the Afghan Taliban are concerned, that's a different country, and we should certainly use any influence we have with Mullah Omar and his people to achieve a peaceful settlement in Afghanistan. But I make a clear distinction between how we approach the Pakistani Taliban, who I regard as criminals, and the Afghan Taliban, who can be viewed in a certain light as people fighting to push the NATO forces out. And they do have a political claim to a part of Afghanistan. So, I mean, they have a certain legitimacy that the Pakistani Taliban certainly don't have.
Well, on that note, I think we'll have to end. We'll have, of course, many chances to talk about Pakistan in the future now that there is a new government and we see what it actually starts doing. So thank you very much indeed, Irfan Husain, on the phone. Thank you, Chaudhry Ansar Mahmood from the Nawaz Sharif party, and Atif Ali Shah from Imran Khan's party. Thank you very much indeed. And thank you for watching. Stay with us. We'll be talking about Africa in part 2.